was a daycare or is a daycare in that building. All of the children were taken from the daycare safely. The individual has been identified as James J. Lee. He goes by the name Lee.
He's put out a manifesto, which we're going through now, parsing it to be able to bring you different parts of it without having to reveal his entire invasion plan here.
Save the planet and do the following immediately. For any of you who are considering things, television networks don't save planets. All right. Number one, according to this guy, the Discovery Channel and its affiliate channels must have daily television programs at primetime slots based on Daniel Quinn's My Ishmael, pages 207 to 212, where solutions to save the planet would be done in the same way as the Industrial Revolution was done, by people building on each other's inventive ideas. Focus must be given on how people can live without giving birth to any more, quote, filthy human children, since those new additions continue to pollution and are pollution. A game show format contest would be in order, writes our suspect here today. Perhaps also forums of leading scientists who understand and agree with the Darwin source and the problem of human overpopulation. Do both. Do all until something works and the natural world starts improving and human civilization building stops and is reversed. Make it interesting so people watch and apply solutions. And there are more. That was part one, and of this thing there are 11 parts. And then he says, humans are most destructive, filthy, pollutive creatures around, and we are wrecking what's left of the planet with their false morals and breeding culture. It is the responsibility, he says, of everyone to preserve the planet they live on by not breeding any more children who will continue their filthy practices. Children represent future catastrophic pollution, whereas their parents are current pollution. In all caps and with an exclamation point, no more babies. Population growth is a real crisis. You know, this guy doesn't deserve this. That's all I'm going to read for now. Guy, he has an agenda. And he's in there with stuff strapped to him, according to Catherine Herridge, the reporting of Catherine Herridge. And he's armed, and he's got a security guard, and he's scared people to death. And it's a mess.
You know, as we've learned from 2008, when he was out in front of the building in protest and tried to rally for a week, certain employees were aware of him. They didn't know what to think of whether or not that he was violent or not, but he didn't show any violent tendencies.
And we're just getting new video of the suspect. This is old video of him being arrested. This went back in 2008.
Well, so he was arrested back in February of 2008. I see here in the video that he's being taken away by police. He was littering, and they also arrested him on some disorderly conduct charges. Apparently, he had been throwing money into the air. Why, I'm not really sure, but that's what the police came and arrested him for on that day.
Did you know that he was this Malthusian type character, that he wants us as human beings to stop, I guess, procreating so that the animals can take over the planet, et cetera, et cetera? And I'm not even sure if I got that right, but that seems to be part of his gist. Did you know about that back then?
Well, certainly his manifesto was available back in 2008. And, we parsed it several times, and, there was a lot of crazy off-the-wall ideas and that, and, but nothing, he obviously has a lot of issues and with the Discovery Channel, and how he chose to show those were in this very strange kind of way.
He's organized lengthy protests outside the Discovery Channel for about 2 years. He was recently arrested on charges of littering and disorderly conduct in front of the building itself. He's got a MySpace page.
MySpace, if you've ever been to a MySpace page, you know how they lay the thing out. They put all the things up and they say, what about this? General, Daniel Quinn, books, Ishmael, My Ishmael, and The Story of B. Politics, economics, world history, all sciences, religion, and philosophy. Music, the next category. 70s and some 80s. I also like Spanish music. Movies, The Godfather series, Braveheart, Mess, Star Wars, Planet of the Apes. Television, thankfully, oh, here we go. The Shield, South Park, Family Guy, The Simpsons, and the Discovery Channel. Books, Ishmael, My Ishmael, and The Story of B. Heroes, Daniel Quinn and James T. Kirk. Not a real person. Status, single. Here for, networking and friends. Orientation, straight. Hometown, Hawaii. Body type, 5'11" average. Ethnicity, Asian. Religion, atheist. Zodiac sign, Gemini. Children, I don't want kids. Occupation, research. Jonathan, this is a man who said that the children are parasites on the earth, and we don't need any more of them. So, I mean, the truth is, what we're dealing with here, if all this fits together properly, is just a whole bunch of crazy.
As well as a website dedicated to what he says is his protest of the Discovery Channel and his desire they focus more on saving the planet, specifically overpopulation issues. In fact, he at one point notes in his demands, which is on the internet, that humans are not necessary.
Without getting into specifics, because we at CNN are going to hold off on some of the specifics, but we've already been working diligently to find out who James Lee is. And it sounds to us, just in a cursory examination of this man, that he's an activist. And you know what I mean by an activist. In other words, he's for certain causes that he wants to see dealt with, manifested. Does this sound to you like someone who would be more or less dangerous, or do you even qualify them in a situation like this?
Well, that's hard to speculate. He's dangerous enough if he went in there with a gun and what appears to be, and what he wants everyone to believe is, in fact, an explosive device. So
let me share with you some of this, okay? I think we can go a little into a little, you know, when you're CNN, you got to be a little careful about stuff like this. We don't want to allow a person who is doing what he is doing to use our network as a way of, as a mouthpiece, so to speak. So we're being real careful. But at the same time, we already know, because I'm tweeting with people all over the world, they're all telling me what they're reading on the internet. So the information's already out there, and this is the age we live in. So I'm going to share with you now from a distance. And let's, Matt, let's not get too tight on this. I mean, there's no reason to get into specifics of what he wants. But this is his manifesto, okay? This is what this James Lee has put out as his cause, so to speak, what he wants. He apparently wants the Discovery Channel, he uses the word must. They must broadcast certain commitments to save the planet. And then he goes on with 1 and 2 and 3, specifically telling them about what they have to do, what they should air, their own stupidity. He's apparently anti-war. He's more for the exploration of certain areas. He's concerned about global warming, talks about Malthusian sciences, continues to come back to saving the planet. So he's really, if you get my drift, Tom, he's very concerned. He's an activist, maybe very well-meaning, but he's now put himself in a situation where he, the police officers, and his hostages' lives are endangered.
I'm still looking at the Save the Planet website that James J. Lee has up on the internet, and you know, he makes a long list of demands to the Discovery Channel. He's obviously studied this channel, is very focused on this channel, even saying he wants certain things in their primetime lineup to make it interesting. So his focus is the Discovery Channel. Sadly, the innocent people who work there got caught up in this when he went into that building armed.
Yeah, that's right. I think he's concerned, obviously, through his expressions, he's concerned about the environment, about what he believes is overpopulation.
Have we got somebody out there? Hey, Matt, do me a favor. Shoot this page over here that I'm looking at. It's up on the green screen there, Raj. Look what it says, because, you know, it's one thing to be a peace activist or a save the planet kind of guy. But look up there in that little box, Matt. See where it says, Lee says, go to your right, Matt, just next to his picture. Lee says it's time for revolution. When people start using heated language like revolution, do you become more concerned? Former FBI guy Tom Fuentes.
Well, absolutely. But I mean, we're hearing talk like that just in the normal political discourse lately. So the fact that a citizen out there uses language like that, I mean, we have public officials using language just as bad. Anything about
the fact that he's not just an activist, but he'd been arrested before? He has websites like this. I mean, who follows people like this in our country? The guys who are just out there, who are totally committed to whatever it is they believe in. I mean, whether they're on the left, the right, the middle, the green, whatever color they represent, all colors of the rainbow, I imagine. Who follows these people? Who's on top of these guys? That's Secret Service, isn't it?
No, nobody's following them in this situation. If you have somebody expressing their political rights, their freedom of speech, unless they're crossing a line and specifically advocating violence or making a threat against someone, or somebody calls in to the police or to the FBI and says, I think this person's going to cross the line and commit a violent act, if you don't have that, just merely expressing weird views on the internet is not going to be enough to trigger being followed. And certainly the FBI, the police in this country, there aren't enough agents and police officers to follow everybody who expresses views that are out of the mainstream.
His theories are based on this idea that people need to stop having kids, right? And he writes in his manifesto...
That people need... Did you just say that people need to stop having kids?
Yeah, he writes a lot about Malthus and Darwin, and his own belief is that the way to save the planet is for humans to stop procreating at anywhere near the rate that we are right now. He says all programs on Discovery Health TLC must stop encouraging the birth of any more parasitic human infants and the false heroics behind those actions, and instead he wants programming that pushes different theories that tell people to go sterile. I mean, this is the kind of thing that you're actually reading. In book, you've been reading similar things.
Yeah. Also, interestingly, when you go to his website, which, by the way, is more or less crashed because so many people are trying to get on it, there's actually a contact to him, and it traces back to this part of British Columbia. I don't know if he's Canadian. I picked up the phone, tried dialing the number, and the mailbox is full. So obviously other journalists trying to do the same thing. So we're trying to make contact with him. I don't know if he has family.
It's filled with anger. It's filled with fury. That part doesn't surprise you, but it's also filled with his own very unique perspective on what it would be to save the earth, and that means that people need to stop having kids. That is a big part of the reason why you're seeing his concerns about Discovery and the kind of programming that they have.
Well, you know him better than we do, Thomas. For those undisclosed number of hostages he holds,
absolutely.
We don't know how many they are.
Right.
Are they in danger?
God, I would think yes. Absolutely. If he's gone this far and has, you know...
So you think he is capable of killing?
Absolutely. I would say that, yeah. You know, I don't know if, you know, I don't know how these kind of things play off. I'm not a...
Well, we do know at times that he's talking to folks. That's always a good sign.
Well, that's a good thing.
Well, Wolf, the latest that we know, police told us that they shot this suspect, James Lee, and he is now dead. They shot him when it became apparent to them that the hostages were in danger. They had been monitoring him on the Discovery Channel's security cameras, and they actually had a police officer, it appears, inside the lobby area, the first floor area. And so when it became apparent that the hostages were in danger, that's when they took this action. Listen to what the chief of police from Montgomery County said just a short time ago.
The suspect it is reported that he pulled out the handgun that he came in with and pointed it at one of the hostages. It's unconfirmed now whether he actually fired the weapon or not. But at that point, our tactical units moved in. They shot the suspect. The suspect is deceased.
Now, at that point in time, police negotiators had been on the phone with James Lee for almost 4 hours, they said. They'd been in negotiations with him, and that is when they took this action. What they could see, actually, we were told off camera by the police chief, looking at video footage inside Wolf, is that one of the hostages went to move, that they saw Lee draw his weapon and pointed at the hostage, and that is when one of the police snipers shot and ultimately killed Lee. At this moment, his body is actually still in the Discovery building behind me because he came in with explosive devices strapped to his body, but also 2 boxes and 2 backpacks, police told us, of what is potentially explosive devices. So they are going through the process right now of poring over this crime scene and trying to determine if these are dangerous items and exactly how they can go about clearing them.